Shabbat Shalom, Parashat Pinchas, and I'm still in Miluim, Baruch Hashem, and I wanted to share with you a very short idea on the parasha. This parasha is a very exciting parasha because the Jewish people are on the cusp of entering the land of Israel. And as we go through the parasha, we will find lots of little hints and lots of little preparations that we're going through to try and ready ourselves for this big move into the next stage of Jewish history. First of all, most of the characters of the next stage, the stage after the Torah, the stage that we will know as the book of Yeshua, appear in this parasha and really are elevated to their position. First of all, we have Pinchas. Pinchas is going to be the Kohen HaGadol after his father, Elazar ben Aaron. And we have Yehoshua. Both Pinchas and Yehoshua are now introduced to us as characters. If this was a novel, this would be their introduction chapter, that part of the reason why it's called Parashat Pinchas. And many others also appear along the way throughout the parasha. Interestingly, we also have a second counting, in a way, of the Jewish people, where we go through all of the different tribes and tally them up and see exactly who is whom and stuff like that. And that is also something which is often misunderstood. That's not necessarily just to know how many Jews there were. It's not a census in the desert, but rather it's a preparation for war. Kol yotzei tzava. We need to know how many soldiers are doing each thing. And I can tell you, as a soldier, one of the things that is very much preoccupying the senior officers is how many soldiers do we have at each time? What manpower do we have? Are we able to do different things? And indeed, there is already talk of war against the Midianim because of what they did at the end of last parasha, the story of Bilam and Balak and Benot Shittim, and all of the different challenges that the Jews are facing in the desert, but also about to face coming into the land of Israel. So before we start to conquer the land, we need to know what kind of army we have. In addition to that, we have another story, which is Benot Tzlofchad. In addition to talking about the conquering of the land, the kibush, we also have to talk about the hitnachalut, the settling of the land. We also have to talk about, how are we going to divide this up? He has sons, okay, he'll get this a lot, but he doesn't have sons. What about Tzlofchad? He only has daughters. How are we going to divide up his slot, his allotment in the land of Israel? And that is also very much in the conversation in our parasha. But then we reach an element of the parasha which seems to be completely unconnected. Sorry, I forgot. Moshe Rabbeinu is also told in this parasha that he's not going to go into the land of Israel. Moshe is already told that he needs to hand over to the next leader, to Yehoshua, and he's told that he's going to die in Har HaAvarim, in Har Nevo. And so really this also connects into this idea. But immediately after Moshe Rabbeinu is told to appoint a new leader, we jump into a completely different issue. Something which seems very surprising. We suddenly start talking about korbanot. Again, we're starting to talk about the sacrifices of each Chag, each festival, Shabbat, and so on and so forth. What are we doing? What is this all about? What has this got to do with the preparation to enter the land of Israel? Now, to all those who regularly go to shul, this piece that we read in Pinchas, in many ways, this chapter is one of the most famous chapters in all Kriyot Torah, in all Torah readings throughout the year, for two reasons. First of all, most Chagim, most festivals, we read a small piece from Parashat Pinchas as the maftir for that for that Chag. So that means that every Sukkot we're reading a piece of Pinchas, every Pesach we're reading a piece of Pinchas, and so on and so forth. But more than that, this is what we read every Rosh Chodesh. And Rosh Chodesh happens, every month, sometimes even twice. You have 2 days Rosh Chodesh. And so in that case, we're reading every single month, at least twice, if not maybe even 3 times, depending if there's a Chag, a piece of this parasha in Pinchas. So what makes this so special? This part of the Torah, which talks about the Chagim that we get to read more than any other piece, nearly, out of the whole Torah. And I think the secret lies in the very first opening of this piece. You would think if we were to already talk about the Chagim, you would start with Shloshet HaRegalim. You would start with Pesach, Sukkot, Shavuot, and these have been mentioned throughout Sefer Shmot. We find them all the time, Shalosh Regalim, Tachog Li B'Shana, and so on and so forth, but that's not where the Torah starts. The Torah starts with the day-to-day korbanot. Korban HaTamid. את הכבש אחד תעשה בבוקר, ואת הכבש השני תעשה בין הערביים. One lamb is sacrificed in the morning, every single morning, that is shacharit. And one lamb is sacrificed every single afternoon, that is mincha, as the Gemara says, tfilot keneged korbanot tiknum. And so, every single day, we have a small little avodah. Avodat Hashem, Avodat HaMikdash, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים, but in this case, avodah, and in our case also avodah shebalev, tefillah. We have that small little work, that small little avodah, that small little dedication, that small little, I would say, service that we do every single day. Shacharit and mincha. Arvit is a later addition, but shacharit and mincha. Shacharit and mincha. After that, we move from daily korbanot tamid to Shabbat. V'yom HaShabbat, shnei kvasim b'nei shana, tmimim yהיו לכם. We have, again, another 2 sheep, but this time it's for the week. This time it is a celebration of Shabbat, and after Shabbat we move into Rosh Chodesh, and we move into the rest of the Jewish calendar. And I want to maybe brainstorm with you what is so significant about these 3 types of korbanot: a daily korban, a weekly korban, and a yearly calendar korban. And I would like to propose that before the Jewish people can go into the land of Israel, we need to introduce not only the main characters of Yoshua and Pinchas, who will appear in Sefer Yoshua, obviously, Sefer Shoftim, all the different stories. There's always one of these characters floating around. But we also need to introduce the average Joe. The average Jew. We need to introduce, and there are 3 types of Jews that we've met throughout history. There is the daily Jew. There is a Jew who keeps every single mitzvah, who does his best, who is a observant Jew, who does et hakevz echad b'boker v'et hakevz hasheni ben ha'arbayim. That is one type of Jew that we have found throughout history. The second type of Jew is the Shabbat Jew. The Jew that is unfortunately wrapped up in his daily life, unfortunately doesn't always have the mind to remember shacharit, mincha, and stuff like that. Again, it may be an ideal that he strives towards, but at the end of the day, his Judaism mostly comes to bear on Shabbat. Shabbat is his Judaism. Maybe you could even say half of the Jewish people, the women don't necessarily always go to shul every single day, but they do on Shabbat. Most of them will have some sort of Shabbat experience. And so we have this element of Jewry, the Shabbat Jew who tries to connect during the week, who tries to have this one day where they focus in, where they're able to go to shul, at home, celebrate with the family, Shabbat meals, kiddush, challah, these kind of things that keep them anchored in their Judaism. And there's a third type of Jew as well. And this also is, I think, recognized, hinted to by this parasha, and that is the calendar Jew, the Jew that appears on the Chagim, the Jew that celebrates all of the festivals or some of the festivals. Most Jews in the world will celebrate some festival, whether it's Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, where they will turn up in shul on the holy days, on the high holidays, whether they celebrate some sort of Chanukah, again, not mentioned explicitly in our parasha, but part of the calendar, whether they celebrate Pesach, whether they celebrate Leil HaSeder, Seder night, they come together. And again, there's all sorts of other places, different communities have different minhagim, Hoshana Rabbah, and stuff like that. This is part of the cycle of Judaism throughout the years. So to summarize, there is the daily Jew, there is the Shabbat Jew, and there is the calendar Jew. All 3 of these different types of Jews are mentioned, hinted in this parasha, because when we enter the land of Israel, when we enter the next stage of Jewish history, all of them are coming together. All of them are going to enter the land of Israel together. All of them are part of Jewish history going forwards. And B'ezrat Hashem, as we again gather the exiles, or as we prepare again, as we're again currently involved in the resettling of the land, of the hitnachalut, of the building the land of Israel, of building a state, of fighting our enemies. We're still at war. As you can see, This is again hinting to us that all three parts of Judaism, again, the Shabbat Jew, the daily Jew, the Shabbat Jew, and the yearly Jew, all three of them belong within the Jewish community. All three of them have a space. Again, there are ideals to which we strive, but nonetheless, all are counted in Parashat Pinchas and all are present. And so, this week, I wish us a Shabbat Shalom. Be'ezrat Hashem, may we all find our place, and may we all strive to upgrade ourselves and to try and become better and strive for higher things. And I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom.